Hey everyone, it's Mike from Just Lifestyle, and yeah, basically everything's a bit of a mess right now. Like I'm moving house, and yeah, my hair just magically changed color. So in all of this stress, I thought what better than to make a Just Lifestyle video for you guys. So yeah, today we are going to be looking at another opening advice that I want to share with you. Since the last opening advice with the Reti and the Dutch seemed to go quite well. I wanted to basically share with you this opening kind of revelation I had when analyzing my games. And I think this kind of mindset and mentality will help you guys too, and also make your binging online of playing many blitz and rapid games or bullet games, whatever it may be, a bit more useful. So basically, I want to show you 3 games that I played relatively recently, and all of them are within this opening of the Modern. And this is basically this new line that I've been enjoying quite a lot, and that is this It's a Modern. And for some time I had it as like some secret weapon, but I've played like countless over-the-board games now, tournament games with it, so it's not really much of a secret anymore. But the reason why I really enjoyed playing this opening and enjoy playing this opening is because it's just so rare in today's time. And in fact, this opening was actually played in the 70s, and it was very popular, and it was even played at the highest level in the World Championship match between Botvinnik and Petrosian. So basically it's very legit strategically, and it's very tricky for white to deal with. And actually the main line goes like this, where white plays at f4, we get this very locked center, and we get a kind of position like this, where black sets up their pieces kind of a bit funnily, but you can quite often get positions like with this kind of pawn structure where the center is completely locked. But it leads to a very interesting kind of play. Like we can kind of play in maybe a French defense kind of style with putting pressure on d4. Sometimes we can also just play with b5 and just lock up and close the position and reroute this bishop and put the king on g7. It's a very easy position to play, and also for players who don't like getting their king attacked, this is lovely because it's very difficult to attack the king. We're so solid and we're very flexible. Like, do we castle kingside, queenside, or stay in the center? We have all the flexibility due to the closed center. So this is what I really like. And I've been playing a lot with the c6d5 idea. But I found that some of my opponents in blitz or bullet even were playing this bishop c4 move. And for anyone who's very much paying attention will quickly realize that if black just plays in the same style with d5, this isn't looking to be working, right? Because white just wins the pawn, and it's not so clear if black can get away with e6. I think there was some move here. I'm forgetting what the move was. Like if this, yes, I think we can try and take everything here, and I think that was this knight b5 move at the end, if I'm remembering correctly. So basically, yeah, this line here is just good for white. So I think I was playing a blitz game, and this came up, this bishop c4, and I played just d5 because I wasn't thinking, just blitzing out this online chess. But it's very important that when you notice that something has gone wrong in the game, like something really clear, and it's not just like later in the game you blundered your queen or something, which is you understand like how things went wrong. It's very important in kind of positions like this, especially from the opening, I feel like, that you actually sit down after the game and try and analyze what went wrong. And a piece of advice that I've given to some of my friends, and it's worked out really nicely for them, is that if you are one of these players that doesn't like to analyze their game after each game, I would recommend you play in sets of 4. So you play like 4 games, and then any of the games in that set of 4 that you want to analyze, you can go back to and analyze. So it's like play 4 games, analyze, play 4 games, analyze, and then you don't really break up the flow of playing. So that could work for you. But basically, after this game, I basically looked at the position and I analyzed what I should have done. Now, what I can recommend for you is that, of course, we should make use of the engine, and I like to have as many lines as possible to consider. I also like to turn off the best move arrow with the engine because it's just a bit annoying to have it on the board. And I also like to open the book. And what I would really recommend is to click the setting buttons here on the right. I hope you can see that on the screen. I think you should be able to. But basically, yeah, like around here, there's a settings button, and you can change the parameters to whatever you like. And what I would recommend is you change the parameters. If you're a player of above 2,000 online, then definitely you want to be looking at setting the 2,500 mark and getting rid of Ultra Bullet and Bullet. And this will give you a better pool of data as to like what might be the best movers. And if you're like below 2,000, below 1,500 even, then maybe you might want to include 2,200 as well into your list. But in general, I would just have this 2,500 and get rid of Ultra Bullet or Bullets because, you know, anything is happening in those games. So this is what I would go with, and click All Set. And basically, it's very interesting in this position because you can actually see the top move is d5. So it would be very unusual if, you know, everyone is just blundering this pawn, right? So when we look at it a bit further, we see that e takes d5. We see that the top move by far in 92% of the games is this move b5. And what is the idea behind this move? Well, we can very quickly see when we look at the main line is that after b4 and the opponent moves the knight, we can recapture the pawn. And this position is actually very stable for black. Like, engine gives it like plus 0.6, 0.7. But basically, it's very easy for black to play. Like, we're simply going to play e6 to blunt this bishop. We can develop the knight to e7. We can castle. We can play a5. We can play bishop a6. We can put the knight on c6. And we have a very fine position. Like, if anything, we've got the easier game because our king will be safe. And these two pawns can try and undermine white's queenside. And we can create some weaknesses and then, you know, in classic minority attack style, win a pawn, win two pawns, win the game. So this... you know, I saw and I was very happy with, right? Like, I was like, okay, I've learned something new. This is great. So, I was then playing a blitz game, and I'll actually show it to you guys here. So I've got some a couple games that I want to show you here. And yeah, this is how the game went. So basically, I played this opening, and my opponent played bishop c4. So, you know, now I was ready for it. Also, what I would recommend you guys do if you're really serious about this video and solving some of the exercises that I'm going to set, if you can put a piece of paper on the right side of the screen to cover the notation, that would be ideal. Or a book, anything just to prop up and cover the notation. But yeah, basically I played this d5. And, you know, I played this b5 idea. I'd learned this new idea. And in this position, my opponent played the move d takes c6. Now, when I had done this pre-game analysis of this opening line, I didn't remember seeing d takes c6 as a move. Right? They've just grabbed a single pawn. So because of this, I thought, well, okay, I seem to remember that in this position, you know, I had consulted the book, consulted the engine, knight e2 and knight a4 were like the only serious moves in this position. So when they played dc6, what is the most testing move for black? Well, the most testing move for black would be to take this knight, right? Like, if I haven't seen it on the engine, haven't seen it in the book, probably, you know, the reason why it's bad is because I just win the whole night. And then my opponent played the move queen f3. And then I was thinking, well, okay, actually this is very, very dangerous. They're threatening checkmate in one, and they're threatening this discovery onto the rook with a tempo on my queen. So I was thinking, okay, well, what, you know, am I supposed to do here? Like, I can't be busted because, you know, I've done nothing wrong so far. Like, this should be an incorrect move. This is the most testing move. I'd be very surprised if winning this knight wasn't good. But this queen f3 is very strong. So I decided to play knight f6 to block the mate. But of course, c7 comes in. And then I took the pawn. They took my rook, and my idea in this position was to try and trap the queen. I thought this must be the idea to make this line bad. I'm going to castle, I'm going to play bishop b7, and I'm going to be better. However, in this position, my opponent played bishop a4. And this is a fantastic move because now I can't play bishop b7 in time, like the bishop is pinned to the king, and I can't castle. I ended up castling, but my opponent can escape. And they're simply up a lot of material because even though I won their piece, they won my rook, and I also won my knight as well in the process. So yeah, basically I'm down 6 whole points and I'm completely lost here. So, some players might lose this game, say, oh, I hate chess, what was the point of studying this b5 if it doesn't even work? But others may use this game as a chance to think, okay, wait, what on earth just happened, right? So this is what I'd recommend for you as well. You go back to the position where you knew everything was fine, so I knew that this b5 was correct, I knew that this b4 was correct, and then I consult the book and I check the engine. And I see here that this d takes c6 is not a good move. It's minus 1.4. So I then think, okay, what should I have done? I should have played this b takes c3. And then queen f3 comes up as the top move. And then I see something very interesting. I see the only move to keep an advantage here is to play the move e6. But at this moment, when I was reviewing this, I was actually quite confused as to why e6 was correct because, sure, this stops the checkmate, but how is this any different to knight f6? I'm still going to be hit with the c7, right? But I saw something very interesting after, which is when white plays c7, I can take on c7, and when they take the queen, and I play knight c6, this time, when my opponent plays bishop a4, can you find, feel free to pause the video, can you find the correct move here for black? And the point is, the answer is knight e7. And we see how e6 vacates the square for the knight to play knight e7, and now we are protecting this, and now we are ready to castle and play bishop b7. So I was very, very happy at this moment. I was like, okay, I understand this, e6 makes crystal clear sense, and if this ever comes up again, my opponent should be worried. So I was playing, and lo and behold, the line started a bit differently. My opponent started with knight c3. I have a rule in this Gurgenitz and Modern that whenever h4, you can always play h5, and it's completely fine. And basically here, I played c6, and my opponent played bishop c4. And I thought for a second, does this h4, h5 make any difference to the position? And if you think back to the tactics we looked at, no, it doesn't really affect it at all. So I played d5, they took, I played b5, they went back, I played b4, and my opponent took on c6. So I was like, okay, hell yeah, we take the knight, they play queen f3, and if you guys remember, the improvement was e6. They went c7, I took, they took, I played knight c6, and here, they didn't play bishop a4, they took on c3. But my understanding follows through. I play knight g7, and in fact my position is -4, -5 in this position. So the first thing I want to note here is that can you see the amount of improvement I have made as a player by analyzing my games? Still, chess-wise, I am exactly the same player as, a couple days ago when I didn't understand this subtlety. But just by analyzing your games, we have come to the understanding of this e6 subtlety, and now I'm suddenly playing much better chess. I'm not necessarily a better player intrinsically, but I'm playing better chess. And ultimately, that's what really matters, right? So that's the thing. When you analyze your games and you learn from your games in this way, you're actually going to make direct progress and improve your results. As opposed to, let's say, studying openings completely detached from your playing, where you don't really know what to look at. If I was just purely studying the opening with an engine and a book without any games, I would probably never look at this d takes c6 because it's a very rare move and it's not engine approved. So why would I look at it? But in reality, it's a very testing move, and already twice in Blitz online, my opponents have tried it, right? Because, it's an interesting line that looks like it could lead somewhere. So this is why you have to analyze your games and use it as a tool in conjunction with, you should improve your openings and use your online games as a tool in conjunction with your opening analysis and your opening improvement. That's what I'm trying to get at. So I think this is very important to see. And the funny thing is, after this position, and they took on c3, I was completely confident. I was like, oh my god, I've just done this analysis. I'm completely bossing it. I'm going to play castles and bishop b7 next, which in the previous line was working completely fine. And here my opponent played bishop a3, and I automatically castled, and suddenly I realized my mistake. In this position, my opponent can simply take on e7, and the difference here is that now, I can't take with the queen without dropping my knight, and if I take with the knight, my queen escapes. So in fact, in this position, I shouldn't have been so quick to play, and whenever your opponent plays something different than what you've prepared, you should always stop to think how the position is different. Like here, I did play the natural move of knight e7, which is correct, but here I was too quick to castle, and whenever you're seeing a foreign position for the first time, you shouldn't just play automatically. You should try and understand how the position is different. So I kind of let myself down here by castling, and this gave up the whole advantage for black. But here, had I played king d7, this would be completely winning, because ultimately the bishop is still protecting the rook, and bishop b7 will come next, and if they try and take on e7, I can just take back with the king. And the point is that bishop b7 is going to trap the queen next move, and there is nothing white can do. So now I know for next time. So basically every time I am slowly improving my understanding of the position and getting one step closer to playing better chess. So this is what you should try and do with your own games as well. Like, it doesn't matter about learning all the lines that your book or your chessable repertoire tells you, but it's more important that you are learning from the lines that actually come up in your games. And it's very easy to do so, especially by using Lichess, because it's very easy to click this book button and see the games in the database, especially see the good games when you change the settings. And you also have Engine, which, might not be perfect, but at a glance, it can give you an idea of the assessment of the position. So this is very, very important to make use of in your chess training and your chess improvement. So just because the rest of the game is quite interesting too, I just want to show you. After my opponent took this and retreated the queen, this is another thing I want to add, which is why it's very nice to basically study your games and learn from your games, is that when you have been playing the correct moves for longer, often a blunder will not be the end of the game. Like in this position, it's amazing because despite actually being down by 4 points in material, I'm down rook for a bishop in exchange and 2 pawns. Due to the fact that I've actually been playing some pretty decent moves beforehand, my position is actually savable. And for compensation for the material, I have a safe king and I have a slight lead in development. And what's more is that I can keep up the initiative with bishop e7, attack the queen again. Now after queen g3, I decided to keep my pieces on the board. I'm down material, so I play queen a5, just putting a bit of pressure on the c3 pawn. White tries to support it with knight e2. I again try and improve my pieces with tempo, with the initiative. So I hit the queen, and then I decide to take on d4. Win back 1 pawn. They castle. I win back another pawn. So now I'm only the exchange down. And now a very, very interesting thing about this position is that here I have the bishop pair. And the thing is, even though both bishops and rooks like open positions in chess, the rooks actually get much worse when playing against the bishop pair, because you've got to think that in an open position, if the bishops are controlling lots of squares, the rooks can't actually use those squares because the bishop is weaker than a rook, so the bishop can always take the rook. So basically, the bishop pair completely torments the rooks, and in one move, my opponent went wrong with rook d1, and if you like, you can try and find the best move here for black. And the answer is bishop a6. Right, just trapping this rook, and didn't take too long. Now, very interestingly here, my opponent played rook d7, and I took the rook. And here my opponent actually made a big mistake, because in fact, my opponent should have just simply taken back the bishop and accepted that they've lost all advantage. However, the position is actually not too bad for them. Like, ultimately, the position is opposite colored bishops. This bishop is defending both pawns and also supported by both pawns, so it's very solid. And, you know, white's got some pressure on my kingside structure. And this is about level, this position. But the thing is, my opponent, you know, feeling that, you know, the tables were turning, decided that they had to go all in. And they play this rook takes f7 move. But the thing is that here, they're already down material. So to sacrifice more material, you'd have to be absolutely certain that you're winning everything back. And not surprisingly, it doesn't work. And here I have a very, very nice move. So you can pause the video and try and find it. The answer is not queen c7, because this would allow queen takes g6 with some counterplay. But the answer is in fact just queen f5. And this is very cute because they can't take on f1 due to mate. And we're also just guarding all of our squares, and we are a lot of material up. So basically I went on to convert this position and the game was over in around 10 moves. But what I want you guys to take from this is that I was able to play this game and beat this 2400 online player because of the opening analysis that I'd done based on my previous losses in this opening. And this is how much you can improve as a player. Like, if you remember, like just a few days ago, I was playing this garbage d5 without any understanding and just dropping a whole pawn and just being completely worse. But now I'm, you know, geared with all of this like this preparation that is directly relevant to the games that I'm playing. So this is how I would, turn your online play into something very productive. And you can really make a lot of progress this way, because also by, you know, studying your openings in this way, you've got some emotional attachment to the games and to the line. So it's much less chance that you're actually going to forget the moves as well. So yeah, that's basically my advice for you guys. Another opening tip from me. So I hope you found that interesting. And also, one final thing I'd like to add is that actually this Gurgenitsa Modern is the main repertoire that I am showcasing on my Patreon. So I've got some videos on it, and I've got a large opening repertoire with a lot of model games. So if you're interested in this C6 Modern and the kind of positions that can arise from it, that I was discussing earlier with this kind of like f4 position with, you know, this locked center, but you're playing a lot more on plans and ideas. Feel free to check out the Patreon. I'm quite proud of my analysis on this Gurgenitsa Modern. I think you can learn from it. And yeah, speaking of Patreon, I'd finally like to shout out some of the supporters. And off the top of my head, let's see if I can remember everyone who's supporting. So I believe it's Goji Shack, it is Panda TT, it is Zach, it's Josh, and Mark, and Bearfang. So I think these are the 6 guys and girls who are supporting the channel, and I really, really appreciate it, because this helps me give motivation to keep up with the channel, keep producing content, and I hope you all found that useful. So yeah, I'll keep you updated with more advice from me, but until next time, see you around. Bye.